Are you able to see this presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the last lecture, we studied the different types of techniques or devices used to mitigate the power quality problems like UPS, voltage regulators, harmonic filters, motor generator set, surge suppressor, isolation transformers, noise filter, energy storage system. Okay. As well as the fax devices like static voltage, static var compensator, STATCOM, static synchronous compensator, dynamic voltage restorer, and unified power flow controller, UPFC. So all are the devices used to mitigate the power quality problems that we have studied the basic principle of operation of all these devices to mitigate the different power quality problems. So you can see that this is a SVC, two types TCR, thyristor control reactor, thyristor switch capacitor, then combination of both thyristor switch capacitor, thyristor control reactor, and this is a symbol diagram of the whole SVC static var compensator system. Then STATCOM, we discuss what are the advantage of STATCOM as compared to the SVC, and we see the characteristics of STATCOM as well as SVC. So you can see from the characteristic itself how the STATCOM provides a better transient stability as compared to the SVC. Then we see that what are the different application of all these power quality devices for the mitigate the different power quality technique for mitigate the different power quality problems like power factor correction, harmonic filtering, voltage unbalance, and complete harmonic cancellation by harmonic injection. So overall, we see that the STATCOM provides a better support to mitigate all these power quality problems. Then we study the different types of filter, active filter, passive filter, series filters, parallel filter. So I hope you understand all these topics. Then motor generator set, surge suppressor, noise filter we use. Clear? Isolation transformer, this is a special type of transformer used to mitigate the transient or impulse transfer from supply side to the load side. This is also called as a ferroresonant transformers. These are the different types of it. Are you able to see with this screen, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, energy storage devices. Then IEEE 519 standards for harmonic voltage limitations. Then comparison of the standards IEEE 519, IEC 61000, and European standards EN 50160. For that, different standards have a different value for harmonics, for voltage unbalance. Yeah. Then what is the responsible for this power quality improvements? So that we have studied in the last lecture. So I hope it is clear to all of you. So in today's lecture, we will understand that what is the scenario of power quality problem and standards in India. Clear? Are you able to see this presentation? Power quality regulations for distribution of electricity in India.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have taken this document from the internet. This report is available in the internet. This report of 2015. So actually this is one of the group Asia Power Quality Initiative. There is a group of 7 countries. They sit together and analyze what are the power quality issues as of now in these 7 countries and what are the solutions for this. So here in this presentation, I give the overview of what are the power quality regulation follow in India or in the different states by the different utility like transmission utility as well as distribution utility. So basically Asia Power Quality Initiative is a group of 7 countries. In India is the International Copper Association of India, Electrical Electronic Institute, Thailand, University of Bergamo, Italy, European Copper Institutes. So that creates an independent platform to build the awareness and capacity on issue related to power quality. So this is a group of 7 countries, 7 Asian and South Asian countries under the APQI platform. In India, ICA, which is a nothing but International Copper Association in India that facilitated this initiative. So the aim of this group is what? To engage the industries, services, government, energy manager, energy auditors, consumers on the importance and significance of the power quality in the economy of the country. So APQI works in the wide range of academicians, policymakers, regulators, engineers, and energy professionals in India, China, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam, on all these 7 countries, which is of this group APQI. So basically, this report is generated by this group APQI. So here in this report, I give you the detail about the what are the scenarios in India. So basically, the utility like power transmission, generation, or distribution companies. Basically, the transmission and distribution companies. What is the key focus area of this utility related to the power quality? So first, one of the major concern is that the reliability of the supply. So first question is that what is the reliability of power supply? So reliability of the power supply is nothing but to provide the continuous.
हेलो सर
Yes.
सर ये पीडीएफ नहीं देखा थी सर पावर क्वालिटी प्रॉब्लम एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स पर देखा है हमारे
1 minute. સ્ટાર્ટિંગ થી નથી દેખાઈ તમને કે હમણાં જ ના દેખાઈ?
ના તો સ્ટાર્ટિંગ થી નહીં દેખાય સર હવે દેખાય ઓકે
ઓકે હવે દેખાય છે?
હા હવે દેખાય સર
Okay, so I start again this. So power quality regulations for distribution of electricity in India. This is one of the group Asia Power Quality Initiative. This report I have got from the online. This is available in the internet. This is a report of 2015. So Asia Power Quality Initiative is a group of 7 countries. As I also mentioned that these are countries like India, China, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. The aim of this group is that to engage the industry, services, government, energy managers, energy auditors, and consumers on importance and significance of the power quality in the economy of the country. So API works with the wide range of academic, policy makers, and regulators, engineers, and energy professionals in all the 7 countries, and organize the workshop seminar related to this power quality problems and what are the solutions, and discuss what are the solutions for these problems. So basically, any utility like transmission or distribution utilities, the major concerns is that, or major focus area is that the reliability of the power supply, AT&C losses, and energy efficiency. So what is the reliability of power supply? First of all, so reliability of power supply is nothing but providing the continuous uninterruptible power supply to the consumers. Clear? So the majority concern in Indian electricity power system is to maintain the reliable power supply, because you know that in several states still we not provide the continuous reliable power supply in 24/7 hours. Clear? In only some of the states they provide the continuous power supply for 24 hours in a day. So this is a major problems in India. End customers requires the good power quality without interruptions or free interruption of the supplies. Second key focus area is the AT&C losses. So I know what is the AT&C losses, or what is the full form of AT&C losses? Anyone? Yes? I think all of you heard this name, AT&C losses. Anyone know the full form of this? Yes? બધાને અવાજ આવે છે મારો? Please. Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So what is the AT&C losses? That is nothing but aggregate technical and commercial losses. So that losses happen in transmission line as well as in distribution lines. So different utilities, they yearly show that their AT&C losses. So in India, Indian utility are facing the burden related to this AT&C losses. So you see that this figure, because of this AT&C losses, the burden to this utility is 2.4 lakhs rupees. Sorry, 2.4 lakhs crore rupees. A very huge loss happens because of these losses, because of technical and commercial losses. So what is considered in this aggregate technical losses? So that is nothing but technical loss plus theft of the energy plus inefficiency in the billing. So that are considered under the aggregate technical losses plus commercial loss. So what are the commercial loss? So in commercial laws that include the default in the payment, suppose any utility or any company default for the payment of the bill, so that is considered under the commercial laws, plus inefficiency in the collection. So if the utility or distribution company is inefficient for the collection of any bill, so that are considered under the commercial losses. So because of all these AT&C losses, huge burden in the utility in India. You can see the figure 2.4 lakhs crores. That figures of 2015 here, and you can see that it is a 28% of the total power transmitted. So very huge loss happens because of these AT&C loss. So these are very major problems in India. Distribution companies are exploring and investing the huge money in the network improvement, IT, and meet the reduction losses. So all of these companies are facing this problem. So they are focusing on to reduce all these losses so that they reduce the burden. Third major area is that energy efficiency. This is also very important area where all the utilities focusing. So energy efficiency is a priority in the Indian sector as per the Energy Conservation Act 2001. So as per this document, the energy efficiency market in India for investment potential is $10 billion US dollars, and that improving the energy efficiency could save up to 184 billion kilowatt hour of generated energy. So if all the utility are focusing and find out the solution for the energy efficiency, so we can save the huge amount of energy and reduce the burdens. So another effect of this poor energy efficiency is that creates the problem of environments as well as profitability of the utility companies, and ultimately that directly affect the economy of India. Yeah. So these three are the major focus area where utility focuses as of now, and all these areas are affected because of the power quality problems. Clear? So you see that the state-wise AT&C losses in percentage. This is a report of 2013. Maybe today these losses are high or maybe low as compared to this. You can see that in Gujarat there are 16% AT&C losses. In Madhya Pradesh, 51% AT&C losses. Very huge loss. In Bihar, 60% loss. Clear? So in the some of the state, AT&C losses is very high. So that creates a huge burden in the utility, transmission company and distribution company. Basically, all are the government companies. Clear? So that creates a huge economical loss to the country as well as this utility. So you can see that all these focus area directly or indirectly affected by the power quality problems. Clear? Now, what are the key power quality issue in electrical network and its measure for improving the performance? So, as we know that the growing use of electronic loads and all are the non-linear loads, so that increase the concern of power quality. So some of the power quality disturbances in the network are due to the following three reasons. Here, the first reason is the natural cause. So because of natural cause, maybe fault happens in the line, maybe transmission or distribution line, lightning strike on the transmission line or distribution feeders. So that creates a fault in the transmission line, and because of that creates a power quality problem. So this is a natural causes. Like same way, falling of tree or branches on the feeders during the storm weather condition. So all are the causes of power quality problem because of natural causes. Another problem that is created in the transmission line, like transformer energization or feeder capacitor switching. So that creates a transient or impulsive or oscillatory transient in the system. Another problem created in the transmission line, that is because of failure of the equipment, because of poor operating and poor operation and maintenance of this equipment. At the receiving side, consumer side, because of non-linear loads like UPS, adjustable speed drive, all these are the non-linear loads that also creates the power quality problem, basically the harmonics and all these things. Clear? Same way, switching of the loads or switching of the loads, that also create the problems. So what are the measures by the utility by the utility operators to improve these problems in the electrical network? So as we already discussed that FACTS devices is the main solution to all these power quality problems. Second is Same, this STATCOM is considered under the fax devices. Second is the online tape changing devices we use to make the regulation of the voltage at the receiving side. Same, and another solution that provide the automatic voltage regulators, so that regulate the voltage and ensure that provide the continuous rated voltage at the load side without any damage to the equipment. What are the power quality issues, especially harmonics that affect the electrical networks? So we already discussed that how the harmonics are produced and how they affect the power quality, how they affect the devices in the power system. So main issues caused by the harmonics in the network are like one of the growing power quality issue. This is generated by the most of the non-linear loads of the customers. So sometimes this harmonics is transferred from load side to supply side through the transformers. So that distorts the voltages. So that distorts the supply side voltage and creates the voltage unbalance. Harmonic current also creates the heating in the cables, in the motors as well as in transformers. So that creates the problems related to the aging effect in the devices. That creates the electrical stresses in the electrical insulations. So all are the problems created by the harmonics. Then they also create the nuisance tripping of the protection devices and overheating of the conductors. So harmonic prevention or reduction, we use the active filter, passive filter, capacitor banks at the load side, as well as we use the harmonic mitigation transformer. This is a special type of transformer used. So this is a solution for to remove these power quality problems. So what are the existing power quality regulations accepted in India or different states of the India, and what are the tariff order? We not go about this tariff order, but we understand that how this power quality regulation standards are built and how it is followed in the different states. So you can see that here in these slides there is a three utility. One is CEA, that is nothing but Central Electricity Authority, which is under the government of India under the Ministry of Power. So this CEA, Central Electricity Authority, that main objective is that to formulate the national electricity plan every 5 years for optimum utilization of available energy resources for power generation. Another objective of this utility is that to promote the R&D and state-of-the-art technology in the power sector. Then main area of this, main objective of this utility is that to establish the technical standards and create the database for the power sector by registering all the generating units which is more than 0.5 megawatt and ensure the safety and security of the power system. So that is the role of CEA, which is under the Ministry of Power, Government of India. Then second utility, that is a CERC. That role is that also makes the terms and standards for the tariffs to determine the rules for sharing of the interstate transmission and charges and losses, as well as make the Electricity Act or standards. As you know that Electricity Act 2003, so that is made by the CERC utility, which is also under the Government of India. They also promote the development of power markets, and that facilitate the interstate trading between the two states, and that improve the operation and management of the regional transmission system through the Indian Electricity Grid Code. So Indian Electricity Grid Code, that is made by this utility and formulate the efficient tariff mechanism. So whatever the rules made by the CEA and CERC, that is followed by the SERC. So CERC is the central utility, same way SERC, a State Electricity Regulatory Commission, that is available in all the states of India. So this utility also made the grid code state-wise, and they take the references of the standard which is made by the CERC, and they made the state supply codes and standard of procedures or standard of performance for the distribution licenses. So whatever the distribution licenses provided within the states, so that is distributed by this SERC, State Electricity Regulatory Commissions. Okay. So what are the main concerns of this utility when designing the standards related to the power quality? So first is the reliability aspects. So in the reliability aspect, there are three terms basically, which is followed by this three utility. First is SAIFI, say SAIFI, CD and KD. So what is the full form of CD, CD and KD? So all are the reliability factors which decides that the power system, distribution system or transmission system is reliable or not. So these are the factor which decide the reliability of the system. So SAIFI, first term, that is nothing but system average interruption frequency index. I'm again repeat full form of SAIFI, system average interruption frequency index. So it is nothing but a ratio of total annual interruption divided by total consumers. So suppose any utility find out the SAIFI, so that first calculate the amount of total interruptions happens in a year and divide with the total consumers. So that from that value that get the value of the SAIFI. This is a reliability factor. Another factor of reliability, that is SAIDI, SAIDI. Full form is system average interruption duration index. Again repeat, system average interruption duration index. So its equation is that total duration of sustainable interruption in a year divided by total consumers. So here in this factor that calculate the duration of interruption happens in a year and divide with the total number of consumers. So this is the another reliability factors from which we can get the idea that the system is reliable or not. Third one is KD. So that is full form is consumer average interruption duration index. Consumer average interruption duration index. So its equation is that total duration of sustainable interruption in a year divided by total number of interruption. Here it is divided by the total number of interruption. So these are the basic three reliability criteria. Also there are another two criteria which is available in the IEEE 1366 standards, but here only three standard is available there, which is followed by these three utilities generally, but basically all are the standards of IEEE 1366. There are basically 5 reliability standards. These three, SAIFI, SAIDI and KD. Another two are the CAIFI, CAIFI. This is a consumer average interruption frequency index, and fourth one is momentary average interruption frequency index. We're not going into detail about this, but just remember that this is are the reliability criteria. Based on that, we can understand that the system is reliable or not. Second factor that keep in mind that when design the regulation for power quality is the voltage. In the voltage, we see the voltage variation, voltage unbalance, voltage monitoring and management in some states. Clear? And third quantity, that is the current imbalance, and fourth one is harmonics. And harmonics, individual harmonics in voltage, individual harmonics in current, as well as total harmonic distortion of voltage, as well as total harmonic distortion in current. So different states have a different standards related to all these power quality problems that we discuss. So you can see that power quality regulation in Maharashtra. So as per the regulator structure that follow the state grid code, SERC of Maharashtra that develop its own standards related to power quality. Then as for the voltage regulation that specify the voltage variation limit for extra high tension and high tension, as well as for the low tension voltages. And they have provision for the compensation to be paid by the licensees to the consumer for failing to maintain the standard. Suppose any utility like distribution company, if not able to follow the standards, then consumer have a provision that they get the compensation from this licensee or maybe from this utility. So this compensation provision is available in all the states, but problem is that the implementation is not followed in most of the states. Then third criteria is the harmonics. So most of all the states of India that follow the IEEE 519 standards for the harmonics. As per the provision, they also provide the penalty for low or high harmonics as per the notification from the commission issue as and when. So basically harmonic is created for by the consumer sides. So utility can penalize for this type of harmonic problems, maybe high or maybe low frequency harmonics. So that is generally provided in all the states, and they also penalize to the different industries for not following these standards related to the harmonics, and that follow this reliability indices SAIFI, SAIDI and KD that we already discussed in the previous slides. So what is the key highlights for the power quality regulations of Maharashtra? There is no monitoring and implementation framework for voltage variation and harmonics. See, all other standards are built as per the different as per the different categories like IEEE 519 standards that is built for harmonics, for voltage, they follow IC standards. So all our standards are available. The main problem is that the monitoring of all this power quality problem and implementation is a major problem in all the states. So sometimes consumer is also responsible for taking this corrective action for harmonic injection, and provision for penalty for harmonic, they have already discussed that. But this type of provision is not followed as per the standards. Then what is the power quality regulation in Gujarat? Same way, the Maharashtra also, the SERC of Gujarat, they make the standards of its own based on the standard followed by the CERC, Central Electricity Regulatory Commissions. And some of the standards are changed by the SERC, and they have same the voltage standards for extra high tension and low tension voltage as per the IS standards. So in the Gujarat, the DISCOM distribution companies are responsible for monitoring the voltage during the peak and off peak hours for the improvement of the voltage quality. Same way harmonic standards as per the IEEE 519 followed by the Gujarat SERC, same way reliability indices. Again, problem is that the monitoring and implementation of the standards. There is no compensation on account or failure of maintain the voltage regulation still now provided to the any customers for violation of this power quality problem. Same way power quality problems and standards in Tamil Nadu. So all the states have different standards. Yeah, they follow the IEEE some standard, they follow the CERC standard, but as per the requirement of the state, they make some changes in the standards. Okay, they not completely follow all the standards of all these regulatory committees. Same way power quality regulation in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. So all have a different standards and different standard limitations. Say Madhya Pradesh, Delhi. So international standards for power quality, as we know that internationally followed IEEE and IEC, as well as European standards EN 50160. Yeah. I will provide the detailed document of this. So yesterday lecture we discussed about this voltage standards for IEEE 519. You can know that voltage, how much amount of voltage variation is allowed as per these standards. So you can see that here is the IEEE 519 standards 1992 and 2014. So first this standard is made in 1992. After that in 2014 it is revised, and as per the revision you can see that what are the changes happen in this. So these are the 1992 individual voltage distortion based on the different voltage level of the transmission at the point of common coupling. Then what are the changes happen in 2014? Same way total harmonic distortion in the voltage, how much percent in 1992, and what are the changes done in the 2014. Same way in 2014 also change the standards related to the harmonics for the different voltage level. So these are the standards for the rated voltage between 120 to 69 kV. But in this range, there is no change happens between 1992 and 2014 standards. So here you can see that individual harmonics order, they provide the different percentage for the different harmonics, how much percentage must be have for a particular value of this ratio of short circuit current and load current. So here at the left hand side, first column, the ratio of current is given. ISC, that is nothing but short circuit current. IL is the rated load current. So if this ratio is less than 20, because of any fault happens or any abnormal condition, so at that time, the value of harmonics between 3rd to 11, as per the 1992 IEEE 51 standard, it is only 4%. If the ratio of this current is less than 20. Same standard in 2014. Same way for if the current ratio is between 20 to 50, if it is more than 50, if it is between 100 to 1000, if it is more than 1000. So for all this ratio of current, they have a different percentage of harmonics in all this category. Same way between 11 to 70 into 1992 2040. Same way between 70 to 23rd harmonics, 23rd to 35, 35 to 50, and finally total distortions. Okay? So almost there is no change here in 1992 and 2014 standards. Same way for the voltage rating 69 kV to 161 kV. These standards, this first table for the standards of voltage rating between 120 to 69 kV. Here these standards for 69 kV to 161. Same way for different current ratio, they have different percentage for different order of the harmonics. Then more than 160 kV, these are the different value for the percentage. So all are the IEEE 519 standards. So in detail, it is available in the documents of IEEE 519 standard. I will provide the document related to this. Then what is the gaps in the Indian standards when we compare with the international standards? So this committee, APQF, analyze and make the conclusion that the first problem in the inconsistency in the voltage variation, because some of the country follow the some of the another standards, they based on its own SERC, State Electricity Regulatory Commission, like Tamil Nadu, that does not specify the voltage variation limit for 33 kV and 66 kV. As you know that in the voltage variation, there is a particular limitation of voltage variation allowed for different voltage ratings. Yeah. But this Tamil Nadu states have no specify any voltage variation limit. Tamil Nadu state means its regulatory commission, State Electricity Regulatory Commission, not decide the standards for this voltage level. Same way for voltage level 11 kV, Tamil Nadu specifies that limit 6%, plus 6% and minus 10%. Whereas the other states that specified is 6% and minus 9%. So this difference you can see in all the quantity like voltage, current as well as in harmonics. Same way for voltage level 22 kV, Tamil Nadu specifies the limit 6% and plus 6% and minus 10%. Like other state, Maharashtra specified is plus 10% and minus 12.5%. Where other states specifies plus 6% and minus 9%. So in short, the voltage variation limit of all the states are different based on its regulatory commissions. So you can see that here, what is the difference between state regulatory commission standard for voltage level, maximum limitation, and this is the central regulations. So you find that there are some of the changes here. You can see here in the Maharashtra for 73 kV regulations, 73 kV regulation makes for central regulation is made for 72 kV for the percentage or minimum limits and maximum limits. Then inconsistency in the voltage unbalance. Same way, it is observed that in some of the states they did not follow the standards of voltage unbalance also. Some of the states also not specify the standard related to voltage unbalance. So these are the problems in India, that some of the states even not make the standards for particular power quality problems. So how the question is that how to remove this power quality problem, because they're not have making the standards even. Yeah. So you can see that what are the state not making the standards. Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and Gujarat. They have no standards for voltage unbalance. They like Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Delhi, they have a standards of voltage unbalance 3%. But as we know that as per the IEEE standards or IC standard, voltage unbalance is allow only 2%. Clear? But here this is a different thing. Here allow that is maximum 3%. So this much of variation you can see that between the Indian standards and international standards. Same way CEA, Central Electricity Authority, they make the standards for voltage unbalance not more than 3% at 33 kV and above. So that is the standard made by central authority. Yeah. Same way, there is an inconsistency in the harmonic standard also. Different states have a different standards for the particular harmonic, like individual harmonic, they have different percentage. Same way for total harmonic distortion also they have different percentage at different voltage levels. You can find this detail in this document. So I'm not going to detail about all these things. So you get the general idea of what are the situations in India related to the power quality problems. So you can find out here the differences from the international standard also between IEEE 519 standards and CEC standards. So you find out the different problems in this literature related to the power quality standards. So I'm not going to much discuss about this. So I hope you clear about this. What are the standards follow in India, or what is the difference between the Indian standard and international standard. I hope it is clear to all of you. Is there any doubt or question in this presentation? Anyone? Yes? Anyone? Pallav, 10 number. Any doubt or question? Yes? Yes, any doubt? Anyone? So here I complete this chapter, power quality. Chapter number 3 is over. So next we start the chapter number 2. So maybe day after tomorrow, Thursday, I will take your test regarding this chapter, power quality, in the second lecture. So prepare for this. I already give the presentation. The rest of the part of the presentation I will provide it to you. So if you have any doubt in this chapter, you can ask me. So we will start now the next chapter, HVDC transmission. All of you clear? Any doubt in this chapter? Yes, if there is no doubt, then I will move forward for the next chapter. Yes?
Test MCQ based, sir.
Yeah, test may be MCQ or maybe theoretical, but mostly I take the test based on the MCQ, because from this chapter you find that there is no theoretical question can be asked, like power quality problems and standards. So from this chapter I just ask only the definition related to the power quality, and what are the power quality problems generally happens like this way. Clear? So basically I ask the MCQ question or maybe short question and answer. Clear? Short questions related to the power quality problems and all this. Clear, all of you? Yes, is there any doubt in this chapter? If there is no doubt,
No.
I will move forward for the next chapter, HVDC transmission. Clear? All of you can see this presentation, HVDC transmission?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay.
No, sir.
Now, are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So chapter name is HVDC transmission. So first question to all of you, that why we require this HVDC system? Because we have already HVAC system through which we can transmit the power. Yeah. So what is the need of this HVDC transmission in the power system? Is there any idea related to HVDC system? Any one of you?
Sir, for synchronization.
First is synchronization. Miss, can you elaborate what is mean of
Yes.
synchronization?
Sir. Suppose we have to transmit the power produced from solar panel. So
Okay.
it is not according to the 50 hertz, according to the grid frequency. So from HVDC we can synchronize it to 50 hertz.
How can synchronize?
So from converter,
Okay, which type of power we transmitted through the HVDC system? It is AC or DC?
DC.
So in DC there is no
DC.
DC there is no frequency. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So there is
Sir,
no problem of synchronization because there is no frequency. Because here we transmit the power through the DC power. Clear? Direct current power transmitted. There is no frequency, zero frequency. High voltage, direct current power transmission. Clear? Okay, any other problem?
Sir, whenever we have
Sir, in AC system,
two different frequency grids, so we are using in HVDC for interconnect them.
Yes, yes. This is the one of the solution that suppose they have one of the grid or one of the network operated at the different frequency. Suppose one grid operated at the 50 Hz frequency and another grid operated at the 60 Hz frequency. So we cannot directly connect these two grid because of the different frequency operated and we cannot directly synchronize it. So what we do, suppose the power is transmitted from 50 Hz grid to 60 Hz grid. So first we convert the power of 50 Hz AC to the DC and transmit to the DC line or high voltage DC line, and at the receiving side we convert this DC into 60 Hz frequency and we connect with the 60 Hz grid. So that is a possible if you have HVDC interconnection between these two different frequency grid. So this is one of the solution which is provided by the HVDC line that provide the interconnection of two different frequency grid. So that type of problem is not created in the within the any single country because one country follow the same frequency. But whenever the two different countries between the two different country when we transmit the power and both the countries have operated at the different frequency, so at that time this type of problem is created. So at that time we use this HVDC transmission system to transmit the power from one grid to another grid. Clear? So this is one of the solution. Okay. Any other solution or any other advantage because of that we use the HVDC system? Yes, anyone?
Reduces the number of conductors.
Yes.
Reduces the number of conductors being used in AC system compared to DC. Like
Yes, so-
in AC system, the number of conductors will be more as compared to DC.
Yes. So what happens in the DC less number of conductor as compared to HVAC? So what is the benefit of HVDC?
लॉसेस ओछा થશે ટ્રાન્સમિશનમાં.
Cost processor.
Yes.
Skin effect
One
and
of the major concern is economical concern. It is a low cost as well as transmission losses are become less. Clear? Because we use the only two conductors, one positive and negative conductors. Clear? Here there is no phase or neutral. In HVDC there are two conductor, one is positive conductor, another is negative conductor, which is a return conductor. So we can transmit the large amount of power using only two conductors, where in HVAC high voltage AC line we require the three conductors to transmit the power. So that is HVDC's advantages. But again, this HVDC is economical up to a certain limits. For certain kilometer length of HVDC line, it is not economical as compared to HVAC. So that we will study in this chapter that it is what is the critical point or what is the critical distance up to that HVAC is economical, and after how much amount of certain kilometer length HVDC is economical. Clear? So it is not always HVDC is economical. for transmit the power. There is a certain limitation for certain distance level. Huge amount of power transmission. Clear? So that we will study in this chapter, how HVDC is benefit as compared to HVAC for a certain level of distance, huge amount of power transmission. Also, there are some limitation of HVDC, but for certain situations or condition, HVDC is advantageous as compared to the HVAC. Okay, any other? Any other?
Sir, in DC system, strain effect is 0, so conductor of diameter is reduced, and its LNC are also 0.
Okay, very good, very good. So in HVAC system, we know that skin effect happen and Faraday effect happens. Clear? So because of skin effect, what will happen? Most of the current is concentrated near the surface. So your effective resistance of the conductor, that will increase. So as we know that if effective resistance will increase, that increase the power loss. I square R losses. Clear? So that is one of the problem. So that we know that in DC line, this skin effect is not happens. So what is the reason of that? Why it is not present in DC line or DC cable?
Inductance is 0 because of frequency is 0.
Yes, very good, very good. So we know that DC line, there is no frequency, so there is no inductor, so there is no inductive reactance. So current in the conductor is uniformly distributed. So the resistance of the DC cable is always less than the AC cable. So you know that generally we say that RAC, which is greater than RDC. It means resistance of DC line is less than resistance of AC line. So this is one of the advantage of DC line, that we can reduce the I square R losses. Same way, second problem happens in the HVAC line, that is the Faraday effect. I think all of you know that what is the Faraday effect. What is the Faraday effect?
Sir, in no load condition or light load condition, receiving side अपने voltage વધારે મળે sending side करता.
Yes,
because
yes.
of capacitance.
Because of which capacitance?
Sir,
Which
line to line or mutual capacitance.
Yes, that's know that when you transmit the power through the AC line, it creates the capacitance between line to ground or between two lines. Clear? So this capacitance gets some charging current from the line. So even under no load condition, some amount of current is flowing through the line. Clear? So this is nothing but a loss of power, where it is not possible in the DC line, because in the DC line that not create this type of capacitance. Clear? So this type of over voltage or Faraday effect not happen in the DC line. So this is another advantage of HVDC line. Any other advantage or any other limitation of HVAC line? Yes, anyone?
Communication interference near line.
Yeah, that may be possible in the DC also, but yeah, it is lower than HVAC line. Yes, this is also one of the advantage. Any other?
કપલિંગ કરવું હોય જ્યારે ગ્રીડ સાથે કનેક્ટ કરવું હોય આપણે ત્યારે ફેઝ સિક્વન્સ ને એ બધું જોવું પડે તો ડીસી નું સિંક્રોનિઝમ કમ્પેરેટિવલી ઈઝી છે એસી કરતા.
No, this is not a problem. You can say that the power control, if you want to require the control power, which is not possible complete control in the HVAC lines, power flow control. Clear? Where in the HVDC line, by controlling the converter, you can control the power in an effective manner. Clear? In the HVAC line, you can control the power, but not that much of effectively during the disturbances or during the fault conditions. Clear? But in HVDC line, you can effectively control the flow of power through the converters, because at both the side of the DC line, HVDC line, they have two converters, power electronics converters. So through this converter control, it is possible that you can control the power from one end to another end, and very effective manner as compared to the HVAC line. So this is one of the major advantage of using the HVDC line, that they provide the effective power flow control. Okay, any other advantage?
Corona loss is less in DC.
Yes, yes. This is the also advantage of HVDC. So there are 5 advantages of HVDC as compared to the HVAC. So some of the we already discussed, like skin and Ferranti effect, power flow control. Clear. Another major concern is the stability. So if you know the equation of active power transmitted in the transmission line, like P is equal to V1 V2 sine delta divided by X. I think all of you know this equation. Clear. V1 V2 sine delta by X. So what is V1? So V1 is a suppose maybe a sending end side voltage, and V2 is a receiving end side voltage. So V1 V2 divided by X. X is nothing but a line reactance into sine delta. So in this delta is nothing but a angle difference between two buses. One is a V1 angle delta 1, second bus V2 bus angle delta 2. So the difference between this delta 1 and delta 2, that is nothing but this delta in this sine terms. So this delta, that must be a certain limited value, otherwise your system go into the unstable region. So the maximum angle to maintain the stability of the power system, for that the value of angle is delta 90 degree. So at delta 90 degree you can transmit the maximum amount of power in the transmission line, because sine 90 you know that is 1, so maximum active power becomes V1 V2 divided by X. Clear? So this is the maximum. Yes,
યુનિટ 2 વાળી સ્ક્રીન છે સર હજી.
હા, યુનિટ 2 વાળી છે, હું મોડે જ બોલું છું. પ્લીઝ you just remember this equation. We will discuss later on in the board detail about this. I just give the overview of this advantage and disadvantage of the AC line. Clear? I not show any presentation here. Clear all of you? So here I just generally discuss all these points. What are the advantage of HVDC as compared to HVDC? We will understand this all in detail in the next lecture through the board or through the any other mediums. Clear? So these are the major advantages. So first of all, we understand that now you can see in the presentation what we have studied in this chapter, HVDC transmission. First we compare AC and DC transmission line. In this comparison we see what are the limitation of HVAC line. Because of that we require or we use the HVDC line. Then what are the limitation of HVDC transmission lines? Then comparison of HVDC link with extra high voltage AC links. Then what are the equipment required? What are the components of HVDC system? And what are the reliability criteria of HVDC systems? What are the different configurations of HVDC system? There are 3 basic different configuration of HVDC system that we will discuss in detail. Then what are the different components, fundamental equation in HVDC systems, HVDC links. Then we understand what is the converter theory, because we understand that basically 2 converters. This is the main part of your HVDC system. At one side there is a rectifier, other side there is a inverter. But here in HVDC we call as a converter, because any of these power electronics converter can be act as a rectifier or inverters. Clear? So here we use the word converters, not rectifier or inverter, because in HVDC line we can able to transmit the power in both way. So any of the converter can be act as a rectifier or inverters. Clear? So here we give the name converter only, not rectifier or inverter. So we understand the theory of converters, its performance equation in particular situation. Then valve characteristics. Valve is nothing but a switch, maybe a combination of thyristor or IGBT, all these things. Clear? So in this HVDC system it is called as a valve because it is not a single thyristor. You know that in the 3-bridge rectifier or inverter we see that we use 6 switches. Clear? But in actual practice for this high voltage DC power transmission, we not capable to use only one devices, because one device or one thyristor is capable to withstand only certain limit of voltage. Clear? Here our system is operated at 600 kV or 1000 kV. Clear? One thyristor is available maximum up to 10 kV or 20 kV. So we require the combination of thyristor in series or parallel, so that they can withstand this amount of voltage. So one switch in this HVDC system that contains the number of thyristor in series parallel combination, and that is called as a valve. So we will go into detail about what is characteristic of this valve. Then we understand converter circuits, converter transformers, because before this providing this AC power for conversion AC to DC, this get from the transformer secondary side. So for that there are special type of transformers and its configuration, different configuration of converters like multi-bridge converters. Till now we only understand that the 6-pulse converter or 3-phase bridge type of converter, but there is another possibility that 6-pulse, more than 6 pulse, like 12-pulse converter, 18-pulse converter, 24-pulse converter, 36-pulse converter, as per the requirements. Yeah. So this is a multi-bridge converter that we already studied the theory of it. Then abnormal operation of HVDC system. What are the abnormal operations happens in HVDC system, and how we can control this HVDC system to mitigate this abnormal operation. Then, as we know that whenever any electronic circuit happens, at that time harmonics also there. So here in HVDC line, we require the filter both the side, DC line as well as AC side. So we also understand that what is the characteristic of harmonics, what type of harmonics we require. Then influence of AC system strength on AC-DC interaction, that we also studied, that suppose any fault happens in the AC line. So what is the effect of that fault in the DC line, or what are the corrective actions we have taken in HVDC line for the protection due to this fault happens in the AC line. Then what are the response for AC-DC system faults? Sometimes fault happen in the AC lines or sometimes fault happen in DC lines. So what are the response of these HVDC lines against this type of problems? Then finally we understand what is the concept of reactive power compensation, reactive power balance in HVDC substation. Then effect of angle of advance, extinction angle. So this is a detailed theory of converter that we will study in detail in the next lectures. So this is an overview of syllabus of HVDC transmission. So I hope it is clear to all of you. So next lecture we will start before going into detail of the HVDC, first we will see what is the history of power system, from where the power system is evolution starts, and then we understand that how the HVDC system evolution starts, why nowadays we prefer the HVDC for certain condition as compared to the HVAC. So basically we start from the history of power system and HVDC. So I hope up to this it is clear to all of you. So this we'll discuss in the next lecture. Clear all of you? Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Yes. Okay. So here I stop this lecture and